US flags are going up in Jerusalem, preparing for US President Joe Biden's visit. Hopes are high across the region that Biden can help build on the Abraham Accords, a plan from his predecessor. The Accords aim to integrate the economies of the region from Israel to Saudi Arabia, former enemies becoming economically and diplomatically linked.
My biggest expectation is that it's time to create here a new common market in the Middle East. That must include Israel, Saudi Arabia, which is, of course, the main player, and the Gulf countries, and Jordan, and all of the countries must be connected in some highway crossing the Middle East from Israel to Jordan to Saudi to Bahrain to Abu Dhabi to Dubai, a railroad as well as a highway.
After calling Saudi Arabia a pariah state during his campaign for president, Biden is now openly courting Riyadh and its de facto leader, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Soaring oil prices and the need for Saudi Arabia and neighboring Gulf nations to pump more oil have put human rights concerns on the back burner.
I'm going to ask, all the Gulf states are meeting. I've indicated to them that I thought they should be increasing oil production generically, not to the Saudis particularly. And I think I hope we see them in their own interest concluding that makes sense to do.
The Biden administration's embrace of the Abraham Accords, concluded by the Trump administration in August 2020, has surprised some here in Washington and beyond. The Accords ushered in the normalization of diplomatic relations between Israel and Gulf nations, Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates. Morocco and Sudan followed. Saudi Arabia could be next. The Accords have been heavily criticized for ignoring the Palestinian issue. The Biden administration stresses it wants both the Abraham Accords and peace between Israel and Palestine. The White House will try and revive talks between Israeli and Palestinian leaders despite increasing tensions on both sides. The issue of Iran and its nuclear energy program will also loom large. The failure so far to rebuild the Iran nuclear deal that Washington abandoned under the Trump administration has divided the region and is adding to instability. Just before embarking on his trip, US President Joe Biden is underscoring the fact he's the first president in decades to visit the Middle East without tens of thousands of troops fighting the forever wars in the Middle East and beyond. But the truth is not quite that simple. 65,000 American troops in Saudi Arabia and other Gulf nations, smaller contingents in Syria and Iraq, and of course massive support for the humanitarian crisis that has been the war in Yemen. No matter how much this administration and others have tried to pivot to Asia or satisfy Ukrainian concerns when it comes to the war with Russia, essentially the Middle East is still a central part of US foreign policy, as this presidential visit underscores. Nathan King, CGTN, just outside the White House.